All right, let's take a look at what happened at WWE Night of Champions 2026, their premium live event or pay-per-view, whatever you want to call it, that aired Saturday, June 27th, 2026. It aired at 1 p.m. because it was filmed in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia at the Kingdom Arena, so of course they're on a different time zone than what the United States is on, so of course it aired much earlier in the day. It had a 2-hour countdown show that aired on ESPN's cable station from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. That did not have any exclusive matches on it, so the heck with that. Anyway, the premium live event itself, it started at 1 p.m. and it ran for like 2 hours and 42 minutes, basically. And, alright, so it's in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. They will also host next year's WrestleMania. And it was in front of a crowd a sold-out crowd, they said, of over 18,000. So anyway, the first match here is the final match of the King of the Ring tournament. So here you have Jey Uso versus Oba Femi. And Oba Femi had a solid, decisive win here in 7 minutes and 57 seconds. With his finishing move, the Fall from Grace, basically a big power bomb, and Jey Uso got a lot of offense in the match. Maybe a little more than what I would have expected he would have gotten, but anyway, Oba Femi got a solid, decisive win in the end. So he's the 2026 King of the Ring winner, and he's the 25th King of the Ring in WWE history, and he'll be headed to SummerSlam for either a WWE World Heavyweight Championship title shot or an undisputed WWE Championship title shot, depending on which one he chooses there. And after the match, SmackDown General Manager Nick Aldis, he presented Oba Femi with the King of the Ring crown. And in our next match here, we had a little segment here first. We had an acting segment here with Danhausen. He came out to address the crowd, and then Liv Morgan, WWE Women's World Champion, came out and gave Danhausen a big attitude, saying that, hey, you owe the Judgment Day a lot of money, and we better get it back, or bad things are going to be happening to you. And Danhausen said he didn't know what she was talking about. And honestly, I didn't know what she was talking about either. I don't recall any segment on Raw or SmackDown or whatever about anything about the Judgment Day giving Danhausen any money. I mean, I'm not saying it didn't happen. Maybe it was some nonsense segment that they aired on WWE.com or something. I don't know. But I don't recall any acting segments on Raw or SmackDown about the Judgment Day giving Danhausen any money. So Danhausen said he didn't know what she was talking about, and then Danhausen put the Danhausen curse on Liv Morgan. So I figured, well, that means that later on the show that Liv Morgan's probably going to lose her match on this thing, So, and then after Danhausen did the Danhausen curse, Liv Morgan then violently slapped Danhausen in the face to end that segment there. And up next we have the Queen of the Ring tournament, the final match of that tournament. We have Liv Morgan, the WWE Women's World Champion, versus Io Sky. And let's see what happened here. Now, they talked about in the past, Liv Morgan, she's 2-0 against Io Sky so far in her career. So the thing is, Io Sky, it might have just been part of the show, or maybe it was legit, I don't know. But Io Sky looked to have possibly suffered like a left knee injury in the match, but it might have just been part of the show. It might have been part of the script, that they were doing. So, and in the post-show, after the pay-per-view, they didn't say anything about like Io Sky being legit injured, so I figured it was probably just part of the script or whatever. Anyway, Io Sky had a solid, decisive win in this match at 14 minutes and 56 seconds into the match. So, with her finishing move, the over the moonsault, so she won that in 14 minutes and 56 seconds. So, Io Sky's now the 2026 Queen of the Ring tournament, winner. And so now she'll get a title shot of her choice at SummerSlam. And, well, she could be going up against, maybe Rhea Ripley, WWE Women's Champion, but she's out on injury right now. So, she could also be going up against, the WWE Women's World Champ Liv Morgan. So basically, SmackDown General Manager Nick Aldis, he presented her with the Queen of the Ring, crown. And basically right then and there, Io Sky said she's already made her decision. Io Sky said she's going to be at SummerSlam. She's going to be going up against Liv Morgan for the WWE Women's World Championship. So there you have it right there. And those two matches were aired for free on ESPN's cable station. And then after that, if you wanted to see anything past that, you'd have to get on ESPN Plus for that. So anyway, or if you were on ESPN Plus as you had a membership to that, you could have just seen the whole thing in one fell swoop through ESPN Plus. And next match, we have match number 3 on the show. That's a no disqualification, no countout, steel cage match where we have Seth Rollins versus Braun Breaker. Now, the storyline is that he didn't come out with Paul Heyman because Paul Heyman is supposed to be injured after being speared through a crowd barricade unintentionally by Braun Breaker about 3 weeks or so ago. And then, of course, Bronson Reed, he's out on injury. Logan Paul, he's injured. So he didn't come out with any of those people. And they said, well, Austin Theory, he didn't come out with Austin Theory either because Austin Theory was knocked for an absolute loop on the last episode of WWE Raw. So it was basically just a Braun Breaker coming out by himself to face Seth Rollins in this steel cage match. And anyway, and this was a match that had, steel chairs being used as weapons and tables and kendo sticks and a steel trash can. It had, the works in there and stuff. And at the end, basically what ended up happening was Braun Breaker, he went charging at Seth Rollins, who was in front of a table set up and was standing up against against some of the turnbuckles. But Seth Rollins, he sidestepped it, and Braun Breaker, he went crashing through the cafeteria table that was set up there. And then Seth Rollins, he did a pedigree on Braun Breaker, followed by a curb stomp. And then it seemed like, Braun Breaker, he was kind of begging off Seth Rollins not to go any further, but as Seth Rollins, he figured he better finish him off right here and now. It seemed like this would be a good time to finish him off. So Seth Rollins, he went up to the second rope and he did what they called basically what they called an avalanche curb stomp off the middle rope. Curb stomp Braun Breaker's head into the ring mat, and basically Seth Rollins got a solid, decisive win over Braun Breaker at 19 minutes and 7 seconds thereabouts into the match. And anyway, Michael Cole and Corey Graves both made it sound like this was the official blow-off to the feud between Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker's faction, the Vision. So we'll see. They made it sound like, okay, now, Michael Cole even specifically said, okay, well, now, okay, Seth Rollins, he's free and clear to pursue other ventures right now. He doesn't have to worry about the Vision anymore. He's overcome them, and he's going to be moving on to other things. So, and basically, Braun Breaker's face was all bloody and bleeding from his around the area in his left eye around the 14-minute mark into the match. From there on to the rest of the match, and then they went on to talk about, okay, this is the 10th premium live event to emanate from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Michael Cole went on to say another announcement he made was, okay, WWE Unreal Season 3 will premiere on Netflix on Tuesday, July 21st, 2026, if you're so inclined to watch that. Basically a fake reality show that's about a fake show. I never bothered to watch seasons 1 or 2 because from what I heard, it was so damn ridiculous and fake. Okay, you're watching a fake reality show about a fake show. It's like, well, the hell with it. I'm really not interested right now. It's one of the things, if you have time, fine, but if not, don't worry about it, I guess. Anyway, match 4 in this premium live event. Let's talk about that. We had the WWE United States Championship match here. And this is Ricky Saints going up against Trick Williams, the WWE United States Champion, with famous rapper Lil Yachty. And as we had seen on SmackDown, Trick Williams, a couple weeks ago, he had missed the SmackDown taping because he was in Jamaica. He was officially getting married to WWE wrestler Lash Legend, so you know they're officially married right now. Anyway, in this match here, they were talking about, well, Ricky Saints, he might actually have a legit chance of winning the WWE United States Championship, because in NXT, Ricky Saints, he had won a last man standing match, but they said, well, but then again, that's NXT, that's not the main roster, so we'll have to see what happens here on the main roster here. So anyway, in this match, Ricky Saints, well, he got rapper Lil Yachty ejected by the referee early on, as Lil Yachty, he had a kendo stick, and Ricky Saints, he ended up convincing the referee that Lil Yachty hit him with it. Like, you know, he took the kendo stick away from Lil Yachty, he banged it up against the steel ring steps, and he, you know, made the referee think that he was getting hit with it. Kind of like in the style of, like, you know, the way Eddie Guerrero would make, they would do the thing with Eddie Guerrero. He would try to make the referee think that, you know, he was getting hit with something by his opponent when he really wasn't. So they did that, and the referee ended up ejecting Lil Yachty out of there. However, Trick Williams, he still had a solid, decisive win with his finishing move, the trick shot, in a match that ran 10 minutes and 46 seconds, okay? So then, after the match, Lil Yachty, he came back out and with the kendo stick, and he attacked Ricky Saints. And then Lil Yachty, he did the, you know, the Rock Dwayne Johnson's famous move, you know, the People's Elbow onto Ricky Saints. So, got that done there. And also, let's see, you know, they talked about, Michael Cole, he talked about, okay, well, you know, the first, you know, first time WWE was in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia was in 2014 for a house show. And then in 2018, they had their first premium live event in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia with WWE Crown Jewel 2018. They talked about how, well, they were last there in January 2026 for the Royal Rumble. But they're just giving the background there. And let's see what the heck else was there. There was also some special announcements there. There was also, they were talking about, okay, WWE Raw on Netflix on Monday, June 29th. That's going to have a special start time, even though it's being filmed in the United States. It's being filmed in Atlantic City, New Jersey, but they're going to have a special start time of 6 p.m. instead of 8 p.m. because that's how they're doing it for this upcoming week. And they also talked about how, okay, SummerSlam will be on Saturday, August 1st, and Sunday, August the 2nd. You know, a 2-day event, and it'll start at 6 p.m., and it'll be emanating from Minnesota. So there. All right, next up, Match 5. Now, Match 5 on this premium live event, in my opinion, this was the worst match by a landslide on this show. It's like, for God's sake, I mean, like, it's like, why'd they even bother putting this on here? This is ridiculous. This is basically, this match was just a big freaking waste of time. This is like the kind of stuff, this was like a match they should have just put on SmackDown or something. This is like your average garbage match you would see on SmackDown, you know? It's like, what the hell, you know? So, anyway, this was a WWE Women's United States Championship match here. And this was Jade Cargill versus Tiffany Stratton, the WWE Women's United States Champion, you know? And I will say this is kind of an aside, but I'll tell you, I really was disappointed when I found out that Jade Cargill's hair was just a freaking wig, and here, really, she's just some woman that has some, like, freaking crew cut, and she's just wearing some freaking elaborate wig. I mean, here I was thinking, because I always give people the benefit of the doubt, you know? I was thinking, like, okay, you know, since, okay, obviously WWE, they they got tons of money. Yeah, okay, if they want to spend a fortune trying to make Jade Cargill's hair look all fancy schmancy and look like, it look like $1 million, hey, they got money to do that. They can pay for some fancy schmancy hairdresser. I mean, I didn't know Jade Cargill's hair was just a freaking wig and she was just a woman that has a crew cut underneath that. I mean, dear God, I mean, I give people the benefit of the doubt, and until they give me reason to believe otherwise. I'm not somebody who whatever assumes the worst about people. I assume the best, unless I hear otherwise. But I was disappointed when I found out Jade Cargill's hair was just fake and was just a wig all along. But anyway, in this match, what the heck? Let's see what's going on here. Anyway, in this match, it's just what the frick, 6 minutes into the match, we got now B-Fab and Maya Yim, otherwise known as Michin. They're coming out, and B-Fab caused an outside distraction while Maya Yim physically interfered against Tiffany Stratton by knocking her off the top rope. But then Chelsea Green comes out. Chelsea Green, she's been hiding underneath the ring for this match. She comes out from underneath the ring, and then she's attacking both B-Fab and Maya Yim, And now Jade Cargill, then she attacks Chelsea Green, and then Jade Cargill, she went to grab the WWE Women's United States Championship belt to use as a weapon, but then all of a sudden you got Charlotte Flair comes out, and Charlotte Flair grabs that United States Championship belt, and then she goes and hits Jade Cargill in the head with the belt, and then Tiffany Stratton, and she did her finishing move onto Jade Cargill. The prettiest moonsault ever is what they're calling it, off the top rope. And then Tiffany Stratton won the match with the help of Charlotte Flair there. But, with the help of Charlotte Flair hitting Jade Cargill in the head with the championship belt. Worst match on the show by far, ran about 7 minutes and 30 seconds. And, of course, Jade Cargill, deserved it and everything since her cohorts, B-Fab and Maya Yim, otherwise known as Michin, came out to interfere against Tiffany Stratton. But it was like, what the heck? This is like just your commonplace, match you would have seen on an average episode of SmackDown, I don't want to see it on a regular episode of SmackDown, let alone do I want to see it on a premium live event. So this got 2 thumbs down for me. But, Anyway, up next, our next segment was basically Joe Tessitore, Peter Rosenberg, and Big E Langston, basically getting set up for the WWE Night of Champions post-show, talking about what they're going to talk about on there after the Premium Live event's over. Next, we have our final match on this Premium Live event. We have match number 6. We have a no disqualification triple threat match for the undisputed WWE Championship. Here we have, and we have Sami Zayn. Now, okay, so he's coming out. Now, he's a member of the Islamic faith, so, he's coming out in the, traditional, Arabic, outfit with the, the headdress or, the turban, however you want to call that. He's coming out facing Gunther and versus Cody Rhodes, the undisputed WWE champion. And basically, they talk about how, okay, Gunther, he's the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion, and, how he's retired John Cena and AJ Styles and Bill Goldberg. And, they talk about how Gunther's a 2-time world champion. And basically, this match, there's no disqualifications or countouts. And anyway, in the end, Sami Zayn, he's got a sleeper submission hold on Gunther. Cody Rhodes grabs a hold of both Gunther and Sami Zayn, and he ends up doing a double crossroads move on both of them. And then Cody Rhodes, then next he does another crossroads, finishing move on to Sami Zayn. But then Sami Zayn, he reverses it into a roll-up pin out of nowhere, and Sami Zayn actually wins the undisputed WWE Championship in a match that ran for 18 minutes and 38 seconds. So, I was kind of surprised to see this here. I would have liked to have seen more like a more solid, decisive win, instead of just kind of like a roll-up pin out of nowhere. But, anyway, they were talking about how this was Sami Zayn's his 10th try to become a WWE champion here. And, as far as like a WWE like world champion, like, like that. So basically, after like 10 years of challenging for the WWE championship, he's, finally won it. And that's how that all went down. And I figure I can understand. I mean, some people were dissatisfied by that. You see people online complaining about it, but like they didn't like it, but you can understand why they did it. They figure, well, the way WWE is, how they are with they don't want Cody Rhodes to lose, and they don't want Gunther to lose, and they really don't want the current WWE World Heavyweight Champion Roman Reigns to lose. So they figure, well, we'll put the undisputed WWE Championship on Sami Zayn, and then we'll have Obafemi. He'll at SummerSlam we'll have Obafemi go for the undisputed WWE Championship, and then we'll have Obafemi beat Sami Zayn we'll do it that way because they don't want Roman Reigns to lose, they don't want Cody Rhodes to lose, and they don't want Gunther to lose. And if they make it so that like if those guys do lose, you have to give it some kind of screw job finish or whatever, so because they don't want them to lose in a solid, decisive way. So, that's why I figured that's why they made Sami Zayn win that championship, so that way they could say, okay, well, Obafemi beat Sami Zayn versus because they don't want the other guys to lose, But anyway, that's how all that went, and like. Basically, that was how the show ended, and on the post show, the only thing I could really see that kind of happened there, they did not talk about any legit injuries that happened on the show. They didn't say anything about that, but they kind of set up a storyline where they had Gunther getting into a physical confrontation with SmackDown General Manager Nick Aldis. Now, we know how for many years Nick Aldis has been wrestling. We've seen Nick Aldis wrestling in TNA and Ring of Honor, So I mean, obviously, Nick Aldis, he's done a lot of things in wrestling, in the past, and now we'll have So it kind of looked like they're setting up, they're kind of teasing a match in the future for Gunther to go up against, up against Nick Aldis there. So we'll see what all happens with that, So anyway, that was basically my take on it. I know there was, I figure I'm not even going to bother looking at what other people said about it. I'm just worrying about whatever the heck I said about it, and I was just leaving it there. I'm not worried about what other people on social media were saying. I know they had content creator, wrestling journalist Brian Alvarez. He was ready to have a damn. I saw some of him having a stroke about the show. How he absolutely hated it. He was like, "Oh my God." But how I figure he's just saying that for whatever to try to get engagement. I didn't think the show was that bad. I mean, the match 5, the Tiffany Stratton versus Jade Cargill, I thought that absolutely sucked, but I didn't really have a problem with the rest of it. But I know whatever, Brian Alvarez, he was ready to have a stroke about the entire show from start to finish, but whatever, I didn't think it was all that bad. Anyway, I think if you saw the live show, you saw way more commercials than if you saw it a little bit later, because I didn't watch the live telecast at 1 p.m. I watched it later on, and I didn't think the commercials were all that bad. I think when I first went on ESPN Plus, I think they had the first 30 seconds maybe were commercials, and then they didn't go on commercial break again until after the second match. After the first hour had gone by, they went on commercial break for about a minute and a half, and then after that, after each match, they went on commercial break for about a minute and a half. But other than that, I don't think the commercial breaks were excessive, but it sounded like, maybe if you watched it live when it aired at 1 o'clock, you probably saw a lot more commercials and stuff, so that's why I was saying, the version that I saw was 2 hours and 42 minutes, but it might have seemed like it took considerably longer. Like if you watched it when it first aired at 1 o'clock because of all the extra commercials, basically. So anyway, and I figure I'll just put this out there. I mean, I know I really got to get caught up in a lot of wrestling stories, a lot of news stories that have been happening recently, and I feel terrible that I haven't been covering them like I should. I've been doing other things. I've been really busy doing other things, but I still want to cover those stories because I feel like I gotta get going on this channel. I mean, I want to make some serious headway with this channel. I figure I want to see if I can do basically do like a 30-day YouTube channel or a 30-day YouTube challenge where I do like a new video every single day for at least the next 30 days. And there seems like there's so much going on behind the scenes with wrestling news and all that, with with all kinds of things like wrestling injuries and people quitting the company, people getting hired by different companies and stuff. There's so much to cover. I feel like I could do a wrestling video every single day, just going forward, and I still wouldn't get caught up on everything. I still got a lot of people. I know I covered tons of people, like tens of people that that got fired by major wrestling companies and that quit. But there's so many people that have quit or gotten fired recently that I still have got to cover. So there's so much, and I want to start getting into. I mean, in the past, I primarily just covered like WWE and TNA, but now I want to start also basically covering All Elite Wrestling, NWA Wrestling, Major League Wrestling, MLW, like MLW Fusion, that kind of stuff, Ring of Honor, all that kind of stuff, All Elite Wrestling sister promotion, Ring of Honor and all that, which is basically, Ring of Honor and All Elite Wrestling is basically just one and the same and all that, it's all owned by Tony Khan, and anybody from one company, one show can show up on each other's shows, so whatever. Anyway, I figure I'll just put that out there and stuff. I'll see how much I can grow this channel and stuff. And thanks for supporting the channel, wherever you can. And I will talk to you again later on. So I hope to see you tomorrow on the next video. Thanks and take care.